Yes, friends. Now let us see overriding and overloading concepts with respect to the start and run method. In earlier session, we have seen what overloading of start method and overriding of run method. Okay, now let us see overloading of run method and overriding of start method. Think that we are defining what a thread by extends thread class. Okay, think that we are defining a class which extends a thread. In order to define a thread, we have to do it. We are having two ways, right? Now think that I am overloading the run method. Now think that public void run like int I. Okay, what is this SOP of overloaded run method? Okay, and now I am closing this particular method implementation. Let me go for public static void main string args, and here think that I am creating an instance of A. Okay, I am creating an instance of or object of A. I can use parent reference to hold the child object, right? It is OOP concept, right? Now thread T. So here I am going to call T dot start. Okay, now here T dot start. Okay, let me put some piece of debug statements here so that I will be aware of main thing and also the child thread. Okay, main thread. Okay, now what is going to get happen here? Of course an instance has been created for A. An instance has been created of type A, and let it be like it is having one reference like 1 to ABC, that we are copying to T identifier which is of type thread. Okay, now what would be here? 1 to ABC. It will be referring this instance. So whenever an instance has been created, with that instance the data members are going to be the part of that instance, and data services are going to become the part of that instance, that is they are going to get associated. Now currently what is the methods which are available in this corresponding instance class? Only run method, right? So let it be the run method which is having an argument as what? Int, and having some implementation as what? Overloaded run method. Okay, overloaded run method. Now it will go for what it is? It is extends a thread, so it will go for the parent class. So in parent class, how many methods are there in thread class? Of course we are having many methods, but let us discuss about start and the run method. Okay, now so which method is going to get associated with this instance? Of course start method is going to get instance, right? It is going to get associated with it, right? So it is having what? Implementation of creating a thread, registering that with the thread scheduler, and calling run method on the underlying runtime object. What is the underlying runtime object according to this one? Underlying runtime object is A type. Okay, we have discussed this thing. Okay, this thing is very important. You might be thinking that it is like an unimportant thing, but it's very important. Try to analyze the subject. Okay, now so within the start method we'll be having what? Creating. Other one is what? Registering it with thread scheduler, right? Thread scheduler, and we'll be having some other activities, and there will be call of run method on underlying runtime object. Okay, underlying runtime object. And now we are having one more method in the thread class. What is that? A run method which is having implementation as what? See, all these methods are going to get associated with this object, guys. Okay, try to understand. Now what is this? Run method which is having no arguments, having implementation as what? Target is not is equals to null, means you are going to call target dot run. Okay, this was the implementation of that one. Now try to observe one thing here. Okay, so we are calling, of course, because of this statement this many things has been happened in the memory. It is very important. Try to focus on these things. Okay, now what I am doing here, I am calling T dot start. So what is T type? It is thread. What is underlying runtime object? At runtime JVM is going to call the method start on the which is related or which is getting associated with the runtime underlying object. What is the runtime underlying object type? It is A. So with this instance, which start method has been associated? A start method which is having implementation as this one. Honestly speaking, it has been inherited from the parent class, that is thread class, and of course through multi-level hierarchy it is going to contain, this instance is going to get associated with 11 methods of object class. That's also very important, guys. Okay, now what is going to get happen here? So start method is going to get execute. Okay, it created a thread and registering that with the, that is creating thread here. Okay, try to understand. Okay, and it will call run method on the underlying runtime object. What is the underlying runtime object here? That is an object of type A, right? So which method has been associated with it? Of course it will create this, it is going to call this method only. Why? Because in start method we are having an implementation to call the run method which is having no arguments. Okay, so it is going to call the run method which is having no arguments. So this method is going to get called. So we are going to see nothing in the console. Okay, now let us put this code in the in system and let us compile and execute it. Okay, now same piece of code, nothing change in it. Okay, so here we'll be seeing so here what I'm going to do here, what is that our concept here? Overloading run method. So let it be public void run. Okay, that is int I. Let me take what? System dot out dot println like overloaded run method. Okay, understand it. Okay, now I'm going to create an instance of A by making that instance to get refer with parent reference. Okay, this is OOP related concept, we are going to learn it there. Okay, now t dot start. Okay, now system dot out dot println, let it be like main. Okay, now try to observe the screen. Okay, try to observe the screen 1 second. Okay, before we execute that piece of snippet code, let us rectify the output what it is going to give to us through analysis. Okay, now t dot start. Okay, now the thread is going to get start, that is thread is going to get start and it is going to register with the thread scheduler, and some external implementing activities required for, it will contain the implementations related to the external activities of the child thread or which is created newly, and after that it is going to call the run method on the underlying object. So now underlying object run method is what? This method which is having no arguments. Of course we are having this method. Okay, and this method, both are going to act as what? Overloading or overloaded methods. Okay, overloaded methods. So it is going to call internally what? Run method which is having no arguments. Okay, now try to observe this one. So it will call this one, so we'll be getting what as the output? It will not call this one, it will call this method, right? Of course it will be available to us. Honestly it will be invisible to us at our source code, but at runtime this will be the structure in the memory. Okay, try to understand. If you understand the memory representation, then it will be very easy to understand. Okay, now so it will call run method of this one. Okay, so it is having no implementation, it is having, our main thread is having some implementation. Our main thread will come here. Okay, it will come here, but it is a fiction thing. We cannot show that main thread, but we can guarantee that to make you feel it. I can feel it. How? I can make you guys to feel it. How? If main thread is executing means it will print this one to the, that is system dot out dot println. Don't get confused. What it is? System dot out dot println. Okay, don't get confused, guys. Okay, this one. Okay, now so we are going to see output as only main thread. Okay, let us see that one. Okay, now we are going to see the output as what? Main thread. Okay, just main thread. You can just check it here, same piece of code, I didn't change anything here. Okay, that class A extends thread and one main method, and which is having instance of A with parent reference and t dot start and one SOP statement, that is debug statement. Okay, and one run method which is overloaded one. Okay, okay, now let me go and execute this piece of code and run it. Java C a.java, and let me run this piece of code. You can just check it here. If you run this for 1000 times also the same output will be there, guys. Okay, and I said to you, how we can see, you might be thinking that this fellow is telling, he is printing, he said that run method of thread class is getting executing. So will you give any proof to me? Will you give any proof to me how two threads has been created? Of course there is one main thread, and also as I said there is one more thread which is called as what? Child thread, which will be having a default name like what? Thread 0. So in order to make you guys aware of that one, what I am going to do here is I am going to take thread group help. Okay, what it is, okay, what it is, or else you will come to understand that one. We are going to discuss that one, but no need to worry what is this thread group. But to make you guys understand, you should not be as like what, you should not think something about it. Oh, he said that, so there will be two threads. No, you should have the proof. That is what an analysis, that is what the logic. Now let us see that proof here. So I am going to take what here means, I am going to take one thread group, guys. So currently I have started the thread here, right? So at this statement what I am going to do here is, see, at this statement two threads are there, right? So two threads are there, okay, two threads are there. Now between these two statements I am going to take one, what is that? Thread t1 is equals to, in thread class we are having one static method to get the current thread name, okay, current thread, okay, and on this t1, okay, on this t1 I am going to call one method which is called as what? Do you know? What is that? Do you know? What is that? Do you know? Get thread group, okay. So it is going to return what? Main. I have said, I have discussed about this one. Main thread customized name is what? Main, and main thread is having one parent group, that is parent thread group. That group name is what? Main. Okay, we are having some 5 sub thread groups which are going to be, or which are contributing to the system thread group. That was the master thread group for all the thread groups in our Java. Okay, now we are going to see that one after discussing these entire topics. That is very, very important to us. Thread group, thread locals. Okay, we are going to discuss those things, and also thread pool also. Okay, now see here, it is going to return what? Thread group. Let it be like thread group, like let it be T2. Okay, T2, understand this one? T2. Okay, now so on this one we are having some methods, guys. By default methods. What are those methods? Means we are having a active count or enumerate. Enumerate is the method which is having, enumerate is the method. If you didn't get this one, no need to worry. Just to make you guys aware, there are two threads. Okay, because of this piece of code, two threads has been created to make you guys understand. I am using this one, than that nothing. Okay, try to understand the concept through analysis. Okay, now see enumerate, which is having the argument as what? Thread array. So what is the main meaning of this one? Means if you pass any thread array, okay, if you pass any thread array, and if you call this method on any thread group references, it is going to put all the, it is going to insert, okay, it is going to insert all the active threads, all the active threads of that group, of that group, of that thread group, okay, into the specified array. Okay, into the specified thread array. Okay, this array. Okay, by using these references we can iterate them. Now let us see that one. Okay, so what is this? So what I want to do here, so I am going to create one thread array like T3 array. How to create arrays, all those things we are going to discuss in language fundamentals. Okay, new thread array, it is user defined data type like 5, let it be. Okay, like 5. Now what I am going to do here, T2 dot enumerate. If I call, then only about, how it is going to execute, means it is still internal representation only at thread group. I am going to show to you. Okay, no need to worry. Okay, or else if you want, I will be explaining that one just within 30 seconds. Try to observe that one. Okay, I want to pass what? T3. After that I am going to iterate this one. Okay, like what is the element types? Let it be like T4. And what is that? Target type is what, guys? Okay, that is T. Target type is what? T3. Okay, target type is T3. SOP of T4. So we will be having what? dummy names. I mean, if it is like main thread name, priority, and its parent name. That is parent thread name, okay, parent thread group name. And if it is like child thread, means child thread name, priority, and its what? Its its parent thread. What it is? Main thread. Okay. Let us check this piece of code now. Okay. Let me put this piece of code now. We are having totally 2 threads. So let us go for java.util. Of course, it is present in lang package only, no issues. Okay. Now let us go for what? Thread t1 is equals to thread dot current thread. Okay. It is going to return what? Current thread. So I want the thread group. Okay. What is that? Thread group. Okay. Get thread group. Okay. Get thread group. Okay. Its return type is what? Thread group. Okay. Let it be like t2. Okay. And now we have to create one thread array. Okay. In order to store all the active threads which are available in that thread group. Okay. What is that? Thread. What is that? The size, let it be as what? Let it be as 3. Okay. Now, or let it be as 9. Okay. Now we are going to call t2 data enumerate method by passing t3 as an argument. After that, this main thread I am going to put was what? 4 thread t4, and the target type is what? T3. System dot out dot println. Okay. Println, what is that? T4. Okay. Now on that toString method is going to get execute. Okay. Now try to observe the screen. Okay. Of course, what it is? I mean, we have created a 9 dimension. I mean, a dimension with size as 9, right? Okay. Let me take what? Normal iterative statement. Okay. Now for int I is equals to 0, I is less than t3 dot length. Okay. And what is that? I plus plus. So I am taking one condition here. If t3 of I not is equals to null, means you just print it. Okay. Now we are not going to see those null related things. Okay. What is this? Once again, t3 of I. Okay. Not t4. Now I have changed the loop things, right? Now let me execute it. Okay. You can just check it here. Thread main. Okay. What is that? Thread main. I have said that we are having 2 threads because of this particular start method, right? Because of this particular start method. Okay. A new thread has been created. Okay. In order to get those things, we have to use the enumerate things. Even in my earlier session, I have showed to you by using what? How many threads were there? By using which method I have shown? I have shown to you by using one method which is called as active count. That is going to give how many threads are available in the current thread group which are active currently. Okay. Now this is what the piece of code for that one. Now what is this? It is a main thread which is having priority as 5, and this is what? Its parent thread. Its parent thread name. It is what? Child thread. Okay. It's having the priority as what? 5, and it should have the parent as main, but it is not displaying here. Why it should get? Because it has been started by whom? It has been started by main thread. Okay. But try to understand, we are having how many threads? 2 threads. Okay. And this was the implementation of our thing. Don't think that we are don't having run method. Of course, run method of thread class is going to execute here. It is creating the new thread. Start method is creating the new thread. Okay. And this is what overloading of run method. Now let us discuss this one. What is that? Overriding of start method. Here we are having different scenarios, guys. Here you have to focus a little. Okay. You have to focus a little here. Okay. Let me take all this. It's so simple. You have to follow the rules of the concepts of overriding, so that it will be very clear for you. No need to mug up anything. It's so simple. Thing is, even you can develop your own cases also, your own scenarios also. Okay. Now here we are going to discuss this one, right? Now I am going to override the start method. What is that? Public void start method. Of course, the start method which is available in the thread class is what? Synchronized. Synchronized methods can be overridden. Okay, so we are overriding this method. Okay, now that is start method. Let it be as no argument thing. In overriding, we should not change the method signature, right? That is a method name as well as the argument type. We are going to learn all these things in detail in OOP concept. Okay, now, so what I am doing here is SOP of like a start. Okay, a start method. Okay, now let it be the method implementation, start method implementation ends here. Now let me take what? Public static void main, which is having the arguments as what? String array. Okay, which is having an argument as string array. Now try to observe here. I am going to start this thread. Okay, thread t is equals to new a child object parent reference. Because of this one, what happened? An object has been created which is having, let it be one anonymous reference, which is what? Hexadecimal representation of hash code. First time hash code of object class will get executed. About this we are going to learn in detail in lang package. No need to worry. Okay, now this identifier of type what? Thread. It is user defined data type. Honestly, we can speak that one technically. Okay, now what is this? 1 to ABC. It is of type what? Thread. So it is indirectly referring this instance. Okay, now because of this thing, how many methods are going to get associated with it? Okay, one second. Okay, now I am going to override a run method in this class. Think that I am going to override a run method. Of course, we have seen overriding of run method. Okay, earlier we have seen it. You should feel comfort in it. Okay, now public void run. Okay, SOP of child. Okay, child thread. Okay, now try to observe the screen carefully. Because of this statement of course the class loading should get complete first. As part of that class loading, static control flow will get execute. In that, main method is going to get execute. So here we are coming here. Okay, now we are creating instance. So instance means what is going to get happen in the memory. So instance control flow is going to get execute here. So let it be. Let us put them aside. Now all the data members are going to be the part of object. So after that, all the corresponding, and what is the type of this underlying runtime object type? It is A. How I am telling that it is of type A? Because of the constructor. The class name and constructor names will be always same. Okay, class name and constructor names will be always same, and constructor names. That's why I am telling that it is of type what? A class. Okay, and it is of type capital A. That is our user defined data type, or it's a blueprint thing. Okay.